headphones on. Click there and resume natural stance as Graham. After all that setup, I'm not quite sure what to say right now. That's a bad thing. So, sup kids? Welcome to another Yellow Concrete podcast. Now, today came out of left view, but at the same time, did you know that I could have been a lawyer? When I was at college, so this is more of a podcast for all the young people right now. That's right, I'm down with the young people. The young people are going to be listening to this. Listen to a 28-year-old man whine about his life. I mean, you never stop whining. That's just a fun fact, by the way. Nobody grows out of that. If you're 16 or you're 34, you just don't stop whining. People like to complain about their lives. That's a universal truth. My dad and my mum still complain about their lives. Those people are in their 50s. They should not be complaining about their lives. Not in the way that they do. Either way, mum and dad, sorry if you're watching this, but people complain. That's what they do. We're notorious for it, especially the English. The English love to complain. It's almost an art form, especially because we have a stereotype within the UK where we don't like confrontation, but we do love to complain, and it's a bit of an oxymoron. Like, we don't, you go to a restaurant, you'll order something, it'll be wrong, and you won't send it back, because why would you send it back? You won't. You'll just eat it. You'll deal with it, unless it's something hugely wrong, or you're one of those obnoxious people with confidence. You'll not send it back. You'll just keep it, and then later on you'll complain about it, because that's what you will do. But anyway, I've gotten off track. I'm less than 2 minutes in to this podcast, and I've already gotten off track. So yeah, that's good. But I was talking about the advice for the young people. I'm aware that a lot of people are coming up to the end of their educational system, internship or internmentship, however you want to view it. I did not view the educational system as a pleasant experience, at all levels. It's at primary school, I did not enjoy that. Senior school, I also didn't enjoy that. College got a little better, but it was still a good 60% of non-enjoyment. University, again, got a little bit better, but it was 50-50. University, I kind of enjoyed the people, the camaraderie, the adventures, but not so much the cost. I'm sorry. You may do better, but I will get back to this point in a minute, because this actually rolls into my subject today. But I thought I'd lend some advice. I'd lend some advice for the people out there who are deciding what to do with their lives and how they will be existing within the world. Sorry, I'm just microphone checking. And that advice is that if you're young or if you're old, I mean, whatever you're doing, if you are searching for that feeling of achievement and success, pick a career with a direct career path. Now, that may seem like very simple advice, but let me explain. So, obviously, I say obviously, it might not be obvious. My intention within life is to be an artist. My intention within life is to get paid to create things. Now, and concept-led things, if I can squeeze that out of the old employment tube, which is a wonderful metaphor for you. If I can do that, then that'd be fantastic. Now that poses a problem. There is no direct career path for that anywhere. There's a million different ways that I could apply that want of achievement to the world. I could bake cakes, concept cakes. They'd have no eggs and no flour. They'd just be conceptual. It'd be glass cases with frosting. But off the point again, of course. Yeah, and there's 100 million ways to do that, and this is a thing which comes up a lot with artists who feel like they never achieve anything and never achieve success, and it's because there's no level. There's no level of success. There's nothing, no final point you're looking for to go, I've done it. I'm at the top of my field. I mean, you could say something like the Turner Prize or, exhibitions and all those kinds of things. But again, there's no direct route to get to them. There's nothing, no career promotion set up within art industries to say, yes, you're going to do this and you're going to do this, and then that's how you get that. There's nothing at all. So if you want success, and that is something you crave, and you want to be the top of an industry, pick something with a very direct career path. Now, why am I talking about this? So recently I was on Imgur, the photo sharing website, and there was a picture of a young woman who had become a police officer. And when she was a child, there was another photograph of her dressed as a police officer, holding a stuffed toy dog. Now, she set a very clear goal for herself as a child, whether she meant to or not. She thought, I want to be a police officer. I'm going to be a police officer. And then she worked to being a police officer. And probably somewhere in her mind, there is something which is saying, if I become a police officer, I can rise through the ranks and then get to the top tier of police. Now, obviously, when you're a child, you're not aware of like detectives and sergeants and all that kind of thing. So that was completely irrelevant to the actual situation. I'm just divulging myself. To bring it back, she had this very clear view of what she wanted to do, and that's a path which has a clear view. If I wanted to be a police officer, there is an exact training route that I would take to become a police officer. And therefore, I would feel like I achieved becoming a police officer. Now, to take you back to my college days. So, at college, I debated becoming a lawyer. I also debated becoming a philosophy major, an English teacher, even though I suck at English, a writer, and an RE teacher. These are things which I didn't do. These are things which I debated doing. But being a lawyer, that was actually a thing which I, for the longest time, I thought I would end up doing. Because I love a good conversation. I'm quite good at discussing things. And I thought it was something which I could develop. I also saw it as a very direct career path, as I was saying. You study law. You get an internship at a legal practice. You become a lawyer. You go on from being a lawyer, maybe become a judge. It's pretty clear. There's a direct line of what you can do, and you would feel like success each time you got promoted within that range. Obviously, the pay's good. That was another thing which attracted me. And yeah, that seemed like the best way to do things. The reason I didn't end up doing that, if you're curious of that, is that I had a conversation with my GCSE art teacher, well, one of my GCSE art teachers, and she basically said to me, we were having this conversation about college. I'm really just like blanking on her name. I think it was Waddington, maybe, I don't know. She went to Frederick Gough School in Scunthorpe. If you're my art teacher and you happen to end up watching this, I'm really Warrington, Mrs. Warrington. I'm really sorry for blanking on your name. But I had this conversation with her, and she was discussing with me what I would want to do at college because she was curious. And I was suggesting that I was going to do media studies, and then that I might take law. And if I took law, I would take things alongside it which would help me. So things like philosophy, social studies, things which are all about debate and concept and that kind of thing. And that was another reason I loved law. Law kind of suggested to me that there was an argument there was never an argument which couldn't be won, regardless of which side you take, because it's all about adjusting the context and the concept view. And I thought that's brilliant, and I still do. And it's why I love programs like Better Call Saul, because I watch it and I think, oh, I should have been a lawyer. Maybe I should be a lawyer. Maybe I should be a politician. No, we're getting off career track again. You can't just jump into politics, Graham. You've got drawings to do. Well, nobody wants to see your drawings. Either way, back to the point at hand. So, in discussing this with her, she recalled a student who she had previously had who ended up going into mathematics and science, and said that she'd had this run-in with this student a few years later, and she was incredibly depressed. and she was depressed because she'd been a great art student in senior school, and she'd completely given up every form of expression in order to pursue her career as I'm just going to say a chemist, because I don't know what she was doing. This is a long time ago memory. I'm just going to say she went into chemistry. She became a chemist. But either way, she was doing this thing, and it was non-creative. And the art teacher just suggested to her that she take night classes in art and do something creative, and that really helped her. And so she fully wanted to impart this lesson to me, that me being a creative person naturally, I should not do something which does not allow creativity. Now, to point out, law was very much something where I saw creativity. I could figure out the creativity in law. The end reason I didn't end up doing law was the university and the cost side, because I never intended to go to university. I just ended up going to university. Stumble through success. That's the way forward, right? That's the new slogan. But yeah, back to the point. Yeah, so I should do creative things and do that. But there isn't a day where I don't sit here and think, at times, maybe I should have done something which would have given me a success payoff quicker. I'm 28. By now, if I had started looking at being a lawyer or looking at being a police officer early on in my life, so for the last 10 years or so, chances are I would have probably been doing okay. I would have been within the field I wanted to be in, because when I find something, I'm very focused on it. So if you're coming out of university or going out of school or going into college, and that is something which you really crave, that is my advice. Find something which has a very direct career path. Now, the fact that I sit and think about this is completely overridden by the fact that I get to create. Because that's what's most important to me, and that's something which has been revealed to me in the last 8 years or so, that it doesn't matter what I'm doing as long as I have concept and as long as I have creative value to it, because I want to generate discussion. And I want to have conversation. I mean, hell, this is the whole reason behind this podcast, is that I want to generate discussion. So for me, I don't feel bad about it, but I think it's one of those things which will never go away, because I sit and think, well, it's the what ifs. It's the what ifs of life. And you're always going to have all these what ifs. Even if I give you this advice now, even if I give you this advice that you can sit there and go, you know what, I should be a chef. Right? Okay, cool. You want to be a chef. Chef, easy. Go to culinary school, go do this, practice, cook, food, job, do roll up, head chef. That's the path to chefing. Even if I give you that advice and you take that advice, there's going to be a chance you get to the end of that and you think, maybe I should have done something creative. Maybe I should have done something more risky. Maybe I should have gone and do what I do, wherever. So you can't fully apply it, but I'm just saying that if early success is something which is incredibly important to you, to the point where it would depress you not to have that early success, then a direct career path is for you. And there's so many career paths out there which are direct. It just happens to be that writing and drawing and art in general are in no way direct. And that's, in a way, it's a tragedy, because it means a lot of people will end up suffering due to the lack of clear progression. But at the same time, it's beautiful, because you couldn't have art in the way that art exists without it being completely flexible. Because it needs to be. It needs to be as flexible as the medium you're working. But I don't know. I know it's a strange time. It's a strange time and a strange place to find yourself in. I know when I was coming out of college, as I was saying before, I didn't want to go to university. I was, for maybe 3 years, I was very adamant I was not going to university. I was in school. I'd have been 14, 15, and I didn't want to go to university. Firstly, because of the cost. I could not see the point in spending the money to go get a certificate when there was, a 90% chance I was going to go do something creative, it didn't seem worthwhile. It seemed more worthwhile for me to go get an apprenticeship. Because, yeah, why wouldn't it? That was the key to getting anything, was get money, get success, find something stable. That's what I was instilled to me as quite a young child. That's what was important, and I can appreciate why that was instilled in me. It's because the background my parents came from was one of less money and one of slight instability, and they didn't want me to have that. So they wanted me to succeed early on. So they gave me the lessons which were, along those lines. And then me being, me, I threw that away and became an artist. The disappointment child. It's fine, my brother did exactly the same thing. If you're coming out of uni, the world is even more uncertain. You may have done something which is directly along your career path, and I wish you all the best doing it, and I hope you find that success which you're craving. And later on you may change your mind. But, you can't plan for these things. You essentially can't plan for anything. And I don't think it's foolish to try. I think it's just human to try. It's human to want defined lines and progression and categories, and it's human to just want to kind of have a clear view of where you're going and how you're going to get there at some point. And some people can live without that, and that's something which they do. But some people can't. And I realize that's terrifying. But I think something which a lot of people should consider is that if you don't manage whatever you initially set out on, that doesn't necessarily make you a failure. I see a lot of people who have started something and not quite got there, or started on one path and then changed path, and they consider themselves a failure. They consider that they failed in some way. And that seems insane to me. Because in a way, no one was waiting for you at the end of it. If that makes any sense. When you came out and you said, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to use police officer again. I'm going to use police officer. I'm going to use photographer. I'm going to use chef. Any of these. Anything you set out to do. No one was at the end of that thing waiting for you. Right? No one was at the end going, we've got this position clearly marked out for you to do something. And you not making it there isn't disappointing anyone. It's not letting anyone down. It's not, the world isn't missing something because you stopped, because you needed to stop. The world's gaining something by you changing your view of how you view your life and doing something which you find more fulfilling, or doing something which you find, just more enticing in general, or getting yourself out of a bad situation. A lot of people start on these paths and they feel like they have to continue these paths, otherwise they'll fail, and if they fail, they're letting someone else down, and they'll depress themselves and they'll make things worse because they have to keep going with it, because if they stop, yeah. But if you keep going and fail and then you're still depressed, then you're only going to do more damage to yourself. A better view of it is to think there's nothing waiting at the end. Like, you don't receive a letter to say, oh, you failed at being 25. I'm sorry. You owe us thousands of pounds. You failed. We had this position picked out for you, and therefore had to hire somebody else, and you failed. Nobody does that, because they didn't even know you were shooting for it. Only you knew you were shooting for it. And if the thing you choose to do instead of it is better for your life worthwhile, then that's the important thing. People change professions all the time. And people achieve success at such random times in their lives. Most artists don't hit it big until they're in their 40s and 50s. That's a reality. And it's because they worked for however many years to get there. There's no specified age group for success within a career or a path. It's just whenever you do it. And failing and not meeting your own standards is just part of that travel. But it's never going to be easy. If it was, everybody would be a success. And then what would be the point in anything? You gotta have that adversity. You gotta have that journey. But if you are wanting something simple, and I don't mean simple in the way of that these jobs are easy. A lot of jobs with clear career paths have clear career paths because they are hard. You know, being a police officer is a very hard thing to do. Being a fireman is a very hard thing to do, but it has a very direct clear path because there can't be deviation from it. There can't be deviation from that plan because that plan requires someone at the end who is specific. And that's what all those careers require. They all require someone at the end who's done exactly as is because they're very meticulous. And they require strong wills and strong people. Most careers which have a career path, which is straight, do. So instead of evaluating what you want to do with your life, what you want to be when you grow up, instead think what's important to you early on. Is it important that you have some freedom? That when you leave school, that you have that moment of freedom where you can do what you want to do and it doesn't matter if you achieve right away and you can just go out and explore and delve into the world? Or is it important that when you come out that you find success and that you find something permanent and clear which you achieved at because that's what you've been working for throughout school? I spent all my time at school trying to get out of school. And so when I came out, I needed that break. I needed that freedom, and that's what I went after. And that's what I still go after. And some people didn't. Some people spent school working towards something they had a clear goal of, so that when they left school 2-3 years later, they'd have achieved what they wanted to achieve, and then they'll change their minds later. And then you never know, I might. Hell, I could still be a lawyer. I'm only 28. But it's just something to think about. And that's all the advice I can give you for someone who's left school or going to leave school or going to college or going to university or coming out of those things, is don't consider the career you want to be in as the be-all and end-all. Just consider what's important to you. And you'll be much happier for it. And hell, you might even learn to relax. I'll talk to you guys later.